As a piece of cinema history, Flowers and Trees is pretty great. It was the first to achieve several things, and as a production, it's very good. There are a lot of things about this that I like. The narrative is a bit questionable, but ultimately, as a little piece of art, I think it's pretty good. So this was first released in 1932. Apparently was commercially very successful. It was actually the first commercially released film to use the three-strip Technicolor process. I have read the Wikipedia article about that and the importance of that for Disney and Disney's importance for the development of that. I can't paraphrase it because it's too technical for me to really truly understand, but it's definitely worth kind of reading around that if you're interested in the history of cinema. And Flowers and Trees also won the first Academy Award for Best Cartoon Short Subject. It was the first animated feature film, to win anything like that, and that's obviously absolutely brilliant. So this was directed by Burt Gillett, produced by Disney, of course. And the narrative's interesting. This will spoil it because I'm going to tell you how it ends, but it's 7 minutes long. I'm not really sure I can spoil that too much. But long story short, two trees get into a fight. One of them is quite young, fit, healthy, athletic, if a tree can be athletic. And one's older, grumpier, and a little bit creepy, to be honest. The young one wins, he gets the girl. Now, the fact that there are two men fighting over who gets a girl obviously dates this quite a bit. That would never be acceptable now. It would be up to this female tree to decide who she wants as a suitor. Absolutely not down to two trees having a fight. But, regardless of that, it's a product of its time. I completely accept that. The older tree is not pleased when he loses, and he decides to set a fire, and suddenly the entire forest is at risk of being burnt down. And all of the plants and animals work together to try and extinguish it. It's not always going to work because they can't carry that much water. There's this gorgeous little piece of animation where the flowers are by the pond or the lake or whatever it is, and they're like spurting out water from the pond, and it's just the way that's illustrated and the way it's designed. I really enjoyed that and thought it was quite sweet. I also really like the design of the sunflowers. I recognize them, so I think they may appear like that specific design, that specific type of illustration for the sunflowers must appear in some other Disney films, but just off the top of my head I can't work out where I recognize them from. But I do like the animation. The birds are beautiful. Wouldn't be a bit of dark Disney without any vultures. They play very, very fun if backseat role. And ultimately, at the end of the film, the old grumpy, full of himself tree, I may be reading too much into his character, perishes and dies. Now, yep, that's quite sad that a tree has just died. There are two benefits to this. I don't know if benefit is the right word, but on the one hand, it's quite good that he died because he set the fire. He was the one who did that. He has to be punished. But at the same time, it also shows that you can't just go around causing havoc if you don't get your own way. Obviously, most of the time, being a spoiled brat isn't going to kill you. But I was surprised that happened to the tree. I thought the tree would have run away. I thought the tree would have run away from the forest fire and the other animals would have put it out and they would have lived in harmony thereafter. But Disney decided to go one step darker. But it's sweet, it's got its moments and it's sweet. And I like the soundtrack. I love the sound effects. Disney sound effects now are obviously not, they're computer generated most of the time. They're just nothing special. But kind of early Disney sound effects, most of which were created by hand, of course, are just so beautiful. I always love it when they do a clip of water. Disney is brilliant at doing splashing water. 30s Disney, 40s Disney, absolutely love it. And that's certainly the case here. Flowers and Trees has a lot of the hallmarks of Disney. It doesn't really have an iconic character. I'm surprised that it was very well received. But, as a product of its time, yeah, I can see it's done very well. It's achieved quite a lot, and it's definitely worth checking out. The narrative development, as I said, a little bit questionable, a little bit darker than I would have expected, but ultimately, it's pretty good fun.